In previous episodes, we have made some animations of objects that always move to the right. In this episode, let's try to make objects move in different directions, not always to the right. So first, we can start setting our background color. Void setup, parentheses, background, and I will choose a color from the color selector, like this one here, and I will set a size for the screen. Instead of making it square, let's make it wider than tall. So see, it's also possible to make rectangular display sizes. And now in our draw function, let's create our circle with ellipse. I will put it somewhere like 100, 100, and I will make it of this size, 40, 40. Let's change the color of the border and make the border thicker. With stroke, we can change the color of the border. Let's make something I would never use, like this purple. Now, have you noticed I'm not pressing the run button, but instead what I do is use this key here, Ctrl R. When you learn the shortcuts, it's faster than moving the mouse and clicking things. I want to make this border thicker. I don't remember how I do this. I go to the reference and I search for stroke weight. This way I can make it thicker. I will just copy it from here. Copy, and I go back to my program and make stroke weight 4. So now it's thicker than before, even more, 7. Okay, there we have it. Now our circle is not moving, it's fixed at this position, 100 and 100. And we need to change these numbers if we want the circle to move. So as we have done in previous episodes, no, not float, where am I? Circle X and circle Y. So I have these two variables. I have to declare the variables at the beginning of the program. Circle X, and I will locate this at 100, and float circle Y is 100. So now again, the circle should be not moving. It's located at 100, 100. If you remember, if you change this number, then it will start somewhere else on the screen. The X, the first value, is how far from the left border of the screen. So the smaller this number, the closer to the left border. The smaller the other number, the Y value, then closer to the top of the screen. Okay, so now it's not moving. How do we move this circle? Well, this is what we have done in the past. Circle X is circle X plus something, like plus 5. This will move the circle to the right. Wow, really fast. I will make it a bit slower, 2. And I don't want to leave this trail, so I move the background inside the draw function. So the first thing we do all the time is erasing the screen with this green color, and then draw the ellipse. All this we knew already. So now, how can I make it move in a different direction? So if I'm increasing the X value, imagine if we're starting with 10, it says here, and I add 2 every time, then it goes 12, 14, 16, 18, all the way up to, well, it will never stop actually, because we don't have an if condition, but it will keep increasing. And when it reaches 400, or a bit more, then we'll stop seeing it because it's outside of the screen. What if we, instead of adding, we subtract 2? Then we make circle X smaller. So we start with 10. It will go to 8, 6, 4. We should start with a bigger number, otherwise we will lose the circle immediately. So let's start with 300. And now we will see it move to the left. So you've seen that you can move it left or right, depending on if you add or subtract. The same thing is true for the Y value. You can do exactly the same with circle Y. If you add to circle Y, you move it down. And if you subtract, then you will move it up. You will make circle Y smaller and smaller, getting closer to 0, which is the top border. And now it's gone. How could you move it diagonally? Then you have to change both circle X and circle Y. When you move it diagonally, I will draw it here in this program. If we have our ball, we have seen if we move to the right, we increase X. If we move to the left, we make X smaller. If we move down, we increase Y. If we move up, we make Y smaller. If we want to move down and right, it's very simple. We have to do both. We have to add 2x and add 2y. And why is this? Well, imagine here, this is where the ball is right now. And this is where we want the ball to be. So you can see that we have moved to the right. The new ball is a bit to the right of the old one, and it's also a bit down compared to the old one. So X is getting bigger. That means moving to the right, and Y is getting bigger. That means moving down. So instead of having one line here, I have just 2 lines. And in both cases, I make them bigger, and then this circle will move down and right. You can try every combination here, like adding to one and subtracting to the other. Now we make X smaller, but Y bigger. And it moves down and left. You can move up and left when you make the number smaller in both cases. This is the opposite of what we did here. So we subtract to X and we subtract to Y. Both become smaller, and you're getting closer to 0 of 0, which is the top left. Why getting closer to 0, 0? Well, imagine if you start at 50, 50. So if you are removing 2 pixels every time, then you will go to 48, 48, 46, 46, etc. until, well, at some point one of the 2 numbers or both numbers will be 0, 0. And then it will continue decreasing. Then it will be -2, -2, -4, -4. And then it will be outside of the screen. We know that our screen starts here at 0, 0. So if you have the ball moving in that direction and you don't have any checks, you're not using any if sentence to do something. When it reaches the border, then the ball will keep moving out, but you don't see it because you only see what's inside our display.